Hi everyone. To find composite volume, we're going to find just the volume of the pieces and add them together because the shape is composed of more than one piece. So for the first one here, we've got different shapes. We've got a hemisphere, which is half a sphere, on the top and the bottom. So when you have two halves of a sphere, it's the same thing as a full sphere. Then we've also got a cylinder in the middle. So there's our cylinder. This is half a sphere. This is half a sphere. So really we got one full sphere and then we've got a full cylinder. So we're just going to do those two parts, add them together, and we'll have our whole volume. So the first step is, of course, just figuring out what the shapes are that you have before trying to find any volume of it. So our total volume, V total, if we call it that, V tot, is going to be the cylinder plus the volume of the sphere. Because again, the two halves there make a full sphere. So the 6 here is the radius of the cylinder, and it's also the radius of the sphere, because if you were to kind of bring the other half of the sphere down, kind of like that, that 6 would still be the radius of that as well. So we're going to use that 6 in actually both formulas to find the composite volume. So for the cylinder, it's going to be pi times the radius squared times the height of the cylinder, plus the volume of the sphere, 4/3 pi times the radius cubed. That is a 3 down there, not a 5. There we go. Okay, so in terms of pi first, it's going to be a little bit trickier here to do this because you got a lot of pieces here. So what I do is I just type everything in without the pi. So I'm going to type in 6 squared times 11 plus 4/3 times 6 cubed. And I'm going to put the pi after it. So I'm going to do all of that in my calculator, then just put the pi next to it. And what we're basically doing here is we're kind of distributing out that pi. We're pulling out everything and dealing with it later. So when you type all this in, 6 squared times 11 plus 4 divided by 3 times 6 cubed, you should get 684. But again, the pi is still there. So that would be your in terms of pi. And then we go ahead and type in 684 pi, enter, and we can get our rounded answer. Our rounded answer here, so 684 pi. So when we type this in, we get 2,148.84937,506. It wants us to round to the nearest tenths. So that's one decimal place. So the 8 would be the tenths place. Look at just the one next to it, the 4. Nothing else matters. That 9 does not impact that 4 in any way. The 4 tells the 8 to stay the same. So our answer is 2,148.8. That's how you round to the nearest tenth. And that's how we do composite volume. Just look at the shapes that you have, use the formulas there to find the volume of each piece, and add them together in order to get the total. Be careful with like number 2 here. This 8.4 is actually the diameter. So make sure you find the radius of that one first. And then for 3 and 4 here, we've got kind of some ice cream cone looking shapes. You've got a hemisphere up top, so be careful with that. And then for the next couple examples, you've got a couple different kind of shapes here. We've got a cone with the cylinder on the right. Number 7, we've got this rectangular prism down there with a half cylinder. A little bit tricky. So see if you can use those formulas there to figure out what the total volume would be in terms of pi first, and then round to the nearest tenth.